Sofia and Alethia sat at the safe house table reviewing the latest intelligence. The small room was dimly lit by a single overhead bulb, casting long shadows on the walls. Sophia's brow furrowed as she sifted through the pile of documents, her mind racing with possibilities. Suddenly, the encrypted communication device on the desk buzzed. Alethea picked it up, her blue eyes narrowing as she read the message that appeared on the screen. "It's another tip," Alethea said, her voice tense. "This one claims Clara is the mole." Sophia's eyes widened. "Clara? That can't be right. She's been with the agency for years and she's one of the most loyal agents we have." "I know," Alethea agreed, her tone cautious. "But we can't ignore this. We have to investigate every lead, no matter how unlikely it seems." Sophia nodded, her determination returning. "Agreed. Let's start by retracing Clara's recent movements and see if there's anything suspicious." Sophia and Alethea spent the next few days digging into Clara's background, reviewing her mission reports, surveillance footage, and communication logs. They even visited some of her known contacts and haunts, discreetly gathering information. The more they looked, the more Sophia's gut told her that Clara wasn't the mole. Everything they found pointed to her being exactly what she seemed, a dedicated agent committed to the agency's mission. One evening, as they sat in the safe house going over their findings, Alethea looked up from her notes, a thoughtful expression on her face. "Sophia, I don't think Clara is our mole. Everything we've found checks out. Her records are clean, and there's no indication of her being compromised." Sophia sighed, running a hand through her hair. "I know. It's like someone is trying to throw us off course. But why target Clara?" Alethea tapped her pen against the table, thinking, maybe someone wants us to waste our time, or they're trying to cover their own tracks by implicating someone else. Sophia nodded slowly. "That makes sense. But if Clara isn't the mole, then who is? And why lead us to her?" As they sat in silence, pondering the questions, Alethea's phone buzzed with a notification. She glanced at the screen, her eyes widening in surprise. "You're not going to believe this. I just got a hit on Ashley's background." Sophia leaned forward, her interest piqued. "Ashley? What about her?" Alethea hesitated, her expression troubled. "I ran a deeper search on all the agents we know, just to cover our bases. When I looked into Ashley, I found some discrepancies. Her file in the agency's database is spotless, but there are gaps in her history, periods where there's no record of her whereabouts or activities." Sophia's heart began to race. "What did you find?" Alethea took a deep breath. "I traced her back to her teenage years. It turns out Ashley isn't who she claims to be. Her real name is Emily Hart, and she was involved in a serious incident when she was 17, a murder." Sophia's eyes widened in shock. "A murder? Are you sure?" Alethea nodded grimly. "Yes, she was a suspect in the death of a young man, a local troublemaker in her hometown. The case was ruled as self-defense, but there were rumors that Emily, Ashley, was more involved than she let on. After that, she disappeared, assumed a new identity, and eventually joined the agency as Ashley." Sophia sat back in her chair, trying to process the revelation. This changes everything. If Ashley has been hiding this from us, what else is she hiding? Could she be the mole? "It's possible," Alethea said cautiously, "but we need to be careful. We can't just accuse her without proof. If she is the mole, she's dangerous. And if she's not, we could be playing into someone else's game." Sophia nodded, her mind racing with the implications. "We need to confront her, but we have to do it carefully. If she's innocent, we can't afford to alienate her. But if she's guilty—" Alethea finished the thought. "We need to be ready for anything." Sophia and Alethea decided to approach Ashley cautiously. They knew they needed to gather more evidence before making any accusations, so they planned to meet her under the guise of discussing the mole investigation. They arranged to meet at a neutral location, a quiet cafe on the outskirts of the city. Sophia and Alethia arrived early, choosing a table in the back where they could observe Ashley as she arrived. They ordered coffee and waited, their nerves on edge. When Ashley walked in, she spotted them immediately and smiled, waving as she approached. She looked relaxed, but Sophia couldn't shake the feeling that there was something off about her. "Hey, guys," Ashley greeted them cheerfully as she sat down. "What's up? You sounded serious on the phone." Sophia forced a smile, keeping her tone casual. "Yeah, we wanted to talk to you about the mole investigation. We've been following up on some leads and we came across something interesting." Ashley's expression remained neutral, but Sophia noticed a slight tightening around her eyes. "Oh? What did you find?" Alethia leaned forward, her blue eyes locked on Ashley's. "We found some discrepancies in your background, Ashley, or should I say Emily?" Ashley's face went pale and she stiffened. I don't know what you're talking about." Sophia's voice was gentle but firm. "We know about your past, Ashley. We know about Emily Hart and what happened when you were 17. Ashley's eyes darted between Sophia and Alethia, her breathing quickening. "That was a long time ago," she said quietly. "I didn't kill him. It was self-defense." Alethia nodded. "We understand that's what the official story says. But there are rumors that you were more involved than you let on. We need to know the truth, Ashley. Why did you change your name? Why did you join the agency?" Ashley looked down at her hands, her fingers trembling slightly. For a long moment she said nothing. Then she took a deep breath and looked up, her eyes filled with a mix of fear and defiance. "I didn't have a choice," she said finally. "After what happened, my life was over. Everyone thought I was a murderer. I couldn't stay in that town, not after what they said about me. So I ran. I changed my name, started over. Joining the agency was my chance to make something of myself, to prove that I wasn't a monster." Sophia listened carefully, searching Ashley's face for any sign of deception. "Why didn't you tell us, Ashley? Why keep this a secret?" Tears welled in Ashley's eyes and she wiped them away angrily. "Because I was ashamed. Because I didn't want to be that person anymore. I wanted to leave Emily Hart behind and be someone better." Alethia's voice was calm but insistent. "Ashley, we need to know one more thing. Are you the mole?" Ashley's eyes widened and she shook her head vehemently. "No, I swear, I'm not the mole. I would never betray the agency. You have to believe me." Sophia studied her closely, weighing her words. She felt a knot of uncertainty in her stomach, but also a flicker of hope. "All right, Ashley. We believe you. But we need you to prove it. Help us find the real mole. Show us that you're on our side." Ashley nodded, her expression resolute. "I will. I promise. Whatever it takes, I'll prove I'm not the mole. I'll help you find who's really behind this." With Ashley now on their side, Sophia and Alethia had a new ally in their quest to find the mole. Though their trust in her was shaken, they decided to give her the benefit of the doubt, knowing that they needed all the help they could get. As they left the cafe, Sophia turned to Alethia, her mind still reeling from everything they had learned. "What do you think? Is she telling the truth?" Alethia shrugged, her expression guarded. "I think she's scared. I think she's hiding something, but maybe not what we thought. If she's not the mole, we need to keep digging, but we'll have to watch our backs. We can't trust anyone completely, not yet." Sophia nodded, her resolve strengthening. "You're right. We need to stay vigilant, but at least we have a new lead. Maybe Ashley can help us find the mole after all." As they walked away, Sophia felt a renewed sense of purpose. The road ahead was uncertain, filled with danger and deception, but she knew she wasn't alone. With Alethia and now Ashley by her side, she was ready to face whatever came next. The hunt for the mole continued, and she wouldn't stop until the truth was revealed. The shadows were closing in, but Sophia was determined to shine a light on them, no matter what it took. After their tense meeting with Ashley, Sophia and Alethia returned to the safe house, their minds buzzing with the recent revelations. The small room felt even smaller now, the air thick with suspicion and uncertainty. They had trusted Ashley enough to bring her into their fold, but doubt still lingered, hanging over them like a dark cloud. Sophia sat down at the desk, staring at the notes scattered across the surface. Alethia, I'm not sure if we're making any progress or just digging ourselves deeper into this mess. We're spinning our wheels, and I'm starting to wonder if we'll ever find the mole. Alethia, who had been pacing by the window, turned to face her. We're closer than we think, Sophia. We just need to stay focused. Someone is trying to throw us off the scent by pointing us to Clara and keeping us in the dark about Ashley's past. Whoever it is, they're getting desperate. Sophia nodded, but a nagging feeling in the back of her mind wouldn't let go. I agree, but something doesn't sit right with me. I feel like we're being watched, like someone's always one step ahead of us. Alethea frowned, glancing around the room. You know, I've had that same feeling ever since we got here. It's like... Suddenly, a soft click sounded from the corner of the room. Both women froze, their eyes darting toward the source of the noise. It was faint but unmistakable, the sound of a camera lens adjusting its focus. Alethea's eyes widened. We're bugged. They've been watching us this whole time. Sophia's blood ran cold as she realized the full extent of their situation. Damn it! How could we have missed it? Alethia quickly moved toward the sound, carefully pulling back a loose panel in the wall. Hidden behind it was a small surveillance camera, its red light blinking ominously. She grabbed a cloth and covered the lens, cutting off its view. We have to assume they've heard everything, Alethea said, her voice tense. Whoever the mole is, they know we're onto them, and they're probably planning their next move. Sophia nodded, her heart pounding. We need to get out of here. We can't stay in one place for too long. Pack up what we need, and let's go. Moving quickly but cautiously, Sophia and Alethia gathered their essential gear, stuffing it into backpacks. They knew they had to leave the safe house before the mole could act on whatever information they had gathered. As they stepped outside into the cold night, Sophia glanced around, her senses on high alert. The streets were eerily quiet, the only sound the distant hum of traffic. Alethea led the way, sticking to the shadows as they moved through the alleyways and side streets, heading toward a new, safe location she had scouted earlier. We'll lay low for a while, Alethea whispered as they hurried along. Figure out our next move. We can't afford any more mistakes. Sophia nodded, her eyes scanning their surroundings for any sign of danger. Agreed. We need to be more careful. They're onto us, and they won't stop until we're out of the picture. Just as they rounded a corner, Sophia suddenly felt a sharp prick on her neck, followed by a rush of dizziness. She stumbled, grabbing onto Alethea for support. Alethia? Sophia's voice slurred, and her vision blurred. Alethea turned, her eyes widening in alarm. Sophia, what's wrong? Sophia's knees buckled, and she collapsed to the ground, struggling to stay conscious. Alethea knelt beside her, her training kicking in as she quickly assessed the situation. She spotted a small dart lodged in Sophia's neck and realized what had happened. They've hit you with a tranquilizer, Alethea said urgently, pulling out a small knife to carefully remove the dart. We need to get you out of here now. With all her strength, Alethea lifted Sophia, draping her arm over her shoulder and half carrying, half dragging her down the street. She could hear footsteps approaching behind them, and her instincts told her they were being followed. She pushed forward, adrenaline fueling her movements as she navigated the narrow streets, trying to lose their pursuers. The sounds of footsteps grew louder, and Alethea knew she had to act fast. She spotted an open gate leading into a small dark courtyard and darted inside, pulling Sophia with her. Alethea pressed herself and Sophia against the wall, holding her breath as she listened to the footsteps pass by the gate and continue down the street. She waited a moment longer, ensuring the coast was clear before turning her attention back to Sophia. Sophia, stay with me, Alethea whispered. gently tapping Sophia's cheek. Come on, wake up. Sophia groaned, her eyes fluttering open. She was still groggy, but the effects of the tranquilizer were starting to wear off. Alethia. What happened? We got hit, Alethia explained quickly, her voice low. Someone tried to take you out. We have to move now. Sophia nodded weakly, still struggling to regain her balance. With Alethia's help, she managed to get to her feet, leaning heavily on her friend as they made their way through the courtyard and back into the maze of alleyways. They moved as quickly as they could, staying off the main streets and sticking to the shadows. Finally, they reached the new safe location, a small abandoned warehouse Alethia had found during her earlier reconnaissance. She unlocked the door and ushered Sophia inside, quickly locking it behind them. Alethia helped Sophia to a chair, her mind racing as she checked her friend for any other injuries. How are you feeling? Sophia took a deep breath, trying to steady herself. Better. Just a little dizzy. Thank you, Alethia. You saved my life. Alethia gave her a tight smile. That's what partners are for. But we can't stay here for long. Whoever did this won't stop until they've taken us out. We need to figure out our next move, and fast. Sophia nodded, her resolve hardening. We need to find the mole before they find us, and we need to do it now. As Sophia and Alethia regrouped in the dimly lit warehouse, they went over their options. It was clear that the mole had access to more resources and information than they had anticipated, and they needed to stay one step ahead. We need to assume they know our every move, Alethia said, pacing back and forth. They had that safe house bugged, and they knew exactly where to hit us tonight. We have to think like them, anticipate their next move. Sophia nodded, rubbing her temples as she tried to shake off the lingering effects of the tranquilizer. We also need to consider the possibility that they have someone on the inside feeding them information. Someone who's close to us. Alethia paused, her eyes narrowing as a thought struck her. What if Ashley was trying to warn us when she revealed her past? Maybe she knew the mole was setting her up and wanted to gain our trust. Sophia looked up, considering the idea. It's possible. But if she's not the mole, then who is? And how do we draw them out? Alethia's expression hardened. We set a trap. We let them think we're vulnerable, that we're off balance. Make them think they have the upper hand. Then, when they make their move, we strike. Sophia's eyes lit up with determination. It's risky, but it might be our only shot. We need to be ready for anything. The mole won't hesitate to kill us if they get the chance. Alethia nodded, her gaze steely. Then we make sure they don't get the chance.